Thanks for staying and welcome back to Marketplace. Now to our very first story. There are fears the country's Eurobonds could be hardest hit following delays in reviewing Ghana's performance under the IMF program. That is the worries of some economists and financial analysts. The Washington-based lender on Monday announced it is postponing the country's third review to middle of next month. But are these concerns really justified? George Biafe has more.
For some of these financial analysts and economists, the current challenge with the proposed date, the IMF Executive Board will have to meet to review Ghana's performance under the fund program, could raise some questions about the government's commitment to stabilize the economy. This could lead to some of these investors getting out the 4 Eurobonds that are already trading on the international market. Dr. Joe Abe is one of those who is worried about how this could increase government's cost of borrowing.
How many Ghanaians, trained economists, accountants, are as concerned about what the fund will say or not say, and whether the fund is entitled to what it is saying or not? So we're sitting there. We are imposing more austerity on our own people than the program would have required. And then we're waiting for somebody to say it so that we can blame. Well, I don't understand that mindset. We should be the ones to have examined, whether in a quiet forum or a public forum, what is the nature of the implementation of the program. If the fund were to say to the world at large that we are not keeping our side of the bargain as we signed, and therefore they cannot not go forward to their board, because they wouldn't want to go to their board and for the board of the IMF to be the ones that pronounce the program not successful. So they will want to make sure that before they go to the board, they are going to say things in support of the approval.
But sources close to government think otherwise. They argue that a lot has been done by managers of the economy to meet most of the targets set out under the program. The source maintains that government is hoping to use the upcoming visit by the IMF mission to Ghana from next week to iron out most of these challenges. The source adds that government does not see this development having any negative impact on Ghana's Eurobonds. Another area that some of these financial analysts are worried about is what are the rating agencies going to say to investors out there about the implications of this delay on the government's finances and whether that could lead to a negative outlook or a downgrade of our rate.
Now, some banks are impressing on the Bank of Ghana the need to possibly streamline the regulations for mobile financial services. The central bank announced a new set of guidelines for the service about a year ago to improve money transfer via mobile phones. There's more in this Business Desk report.
The new regulatory framework for the electronic money transfer services, among others, empowers telecom companies to also own and run the electronic money business like banks. Managing Director for HFC Bank, Robert Lehunt, however, explains to Joy Business a level playing field may be required for the desired results.
If you go to a bank now and try to open an account, a lot of customers complain about the number of information that is being asked. And that is so because we have KYC requirements and we all have to be mindful of that. And as it is now, the restrictions that are being placed on banks for us to be able to open an account is not the same as it being placed on other institutions. And you don't need all the requirements that is required to open a mobile money account. So at the end of the day, I think the requirements should all be the same. It's either we reduce all or we increase all. I'm just talking about a level playing field. Because it therefore means that there are people who I cannot bring into the banking sector because of my own restrictions by my regulator, and other people are able to bring them in. to open accounts. So we just have to level the playing field.
The new regulations poked suggestions that banks may have to compete with telcos for customers in electronic cash transactions. But the Southern Zonal Manager for GN Bank, Kofi Fosu, insists collaboration between telcos and banks remains key.
The telcos are not banks. They will need banks to keep an account of all this money that they are mobilizing. Eventually, the monies will sit in the bank, and the banks can use it to give out loans to the sectors that need it. So we shouldn't just say no. I mean, they are competing. Of course, there's competition in every sphere of life. And therefore, so long as banks don't have the technology, the ability, the skills, the resources to do these retail transactions, then we should allow the telcos, just like microfinance and rural banks. You know, banks have great. So the high street ones should concentrate on their high street business, the medium, the small, and the retail, and then the telcos. I think it's a good thing. Generally, it's something that what should be guarded against is the fact that they will begin to give credit. Credit is a specialized area. And if you look at the non-performing loans that sits with banks, it's scary. And therefore, anything about credit, we should look at it.
Joy Business has been engaging the bankers ahead of a forum themed Mobile Money and Banking, Complementary or Competition. The forum, scheduled for 5 p.m. at the Kempinski Hotel, is part of activities leading up to this year's edition of the Ghana Banking Awards, slated for this Saturday, August 27th.
In another development, banking consultant Nana Utue Champong is emphasizing the need for mergers and acquisitions in the banking sector. According to him, this is the only way the growth and stability witnessed in the industry so far could be consolidated. Let's hear from more in this report.
The banking consultant has already described Ghana's banking sector as robust, citing how it has withstood the shocks in the global financial industry amid the domestic challenges it has had to deal with over the years. There are currently 30 banks operating in the country, and this is expected to increase to 32 before the end of the year. Nana Utue Champong says it could be better if the banks played on the international market.
It means that competition is getting keener. There are more banks. The differentiating factor should be, amongst others, how best they serve their customers, because every customer has an expectation walking through the doors of a bank or putting their name to open an account with a bank. Now, are those expectations being met? And so that is what makes the terrain quite interesting, and it also makes the competition very keen. So I think with the more banks, the terrain is interesting, but what we lament is the fact that we don't have big banks which compete internationally and are able to do what you call big ticket deals. So we hope that sooner rather than later, some of them will consolidate, merge, and become big and play on the international field.
Nana Utue Champong has been speaking to Joy Business as part of the build-up towards this year's edition of the Ghana Banking Awards, slated for this Saturday, August 27th.
Now, still in the banking sector, small and medium-scale enterprises, SMEs, across the country have been presented with an opportunity to access collateral-free loans. GCB Bank has set aside some 20 million Ghana cedis for the initiative. The move, according to the bank, is to help address the long-standing challenge faced by SMEs in accessing credit. The head of consumer banking at GCB, Doris Wunu, spoke to Joy Business at the GCB Bank SME Business Forum under the theme Sustaining SME Opportunities in Today's Market.
The no collateral is a facility that we give, and we don't take collateral. When you say collateral, it means you are bring a house, bring this, bring that. That's what we mean. So no collateral. It's largely having to do with your banking operations and a simple income and expenditure statement that you bring to us, and that's it. We did this in a manual mode before, and we realized that most of all these SMEs have challenges with collateral. I mean, if you ask the guy to go and bring collateral, he's going to spend even more than the amount of money that he's asking for. So we developed this product for them to be able to save them the hassle, and more convenient, to be able to help also grow their business.
Now, away from the banking sector, online shopping is gradually gaining popularity in Ghana, and according to analysts, expect the money Ghanaians spend online to see a significant increase in the coming years. Various online shopping sites advertise products ranging from mobile phones to cars as well as services. But there is one entrepreneur who is trying to break into the market with an online grocery supermarket, a rather rare initiative. The Joy Business Van will be telling the story of CEO of Market Express, Ebenezer Lartey, after the Joy Business reports.
Delivery time for the grocery man, Ebenezer Lartey. Ebenezer is founder of Accra's online grocery supermarket, Market Express, which enables busy homemakers to purchase groceries online and have them delivered to the office or home same day or next day. Ebenezer works from home. He actually converted a portion of his house into an office. Ebenezer had worked in the banking industry for 10 years. He decided to quit to follow his passion.
Really found that I was at a point where my passion was definitely greater than my fear, because for many bankers, a lot of people want to quit, but they are afraid, what about if it doesn't go well, you know? So for me, it's down to passion.
All right, so you catch the full version of Ebenezer Lartey's report on the Joy Business Van on Business Live tonight at 5 p.m. Now, moving on, government has announced that the GNPC will soon start oil exploration in some 6 districts of the Punahafo region. The move is expected to provide more jobs for the teeming unemployed youth in the region and turn around the fortunes of the economy. The Punahafo Regional Minister Eric Opoku mentioned that the oil exploration will begin in October this year. But how prepared is the country to commence onshore oil exploration? Now, joining us on phone to tell us about the environmental impact of such a project on the affected communities is the Deputy Head of Petroleum, Kojo Efunam Agbeno, who is currently on the line. Good afternoon, Kojo Efunam Agbeno, and welcome to the Marketplace.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your listeners.
All right. Now, it's good news, onshore exploration. I mean, it's very good news. Yeah. But indeed, onshore exploration will cut across human settlements and commercial activities and so on and so forth. Now, how prepared is the EPA to impact on communities that is going to be affected by this exploration?
Yeah, again, thank you for having me. For us to be able to determine the impact, we had to do what we call strategic environmental assessment. And we currently in the process, and it also means going into the various communities, meeting with a number of stakeholders, and then also meeting some technical groups to generate the issues that might arise from this development. So currently we are working on that to have all the issues, and that is what we will document and then start the process of finding mitigative solutions, if I may call it that way, to all these issues that we are generating currently.
Now, Mr. Funam, how many districts are going to be involved in this particular exploration, and how many people in all will be affected by the particular development onshore?
We are looking at about 28 districts.
28 districts.
28 districts. The main Volcanic Basin will have 24 districts, and then we are looking at the Kita Basin also, which is 4 districts. So in total, we're looking at 28 districts.
All right, so what's going to happen to, landmarks like river bodies, like settlements, like farms? Are you going to compensate or recommend appropriate compensation for affected people?
Yeah, it depends on the activity. Normally, we look at the activity that is at stake, and if the activity is affecting somebody's property, for example, a farming land, that will be evaluated by Land Valuation Board. They will sit together with the people, and they will determine the compensation package for them.
All right, so how long is this exercise going to take place, and then when do we expect the oil out of the place in case it proves successful?
We are at very, very early stages. Now, doing this exercise, we looked at 4 scenarios that could happen. The first scenario is currently GMPC is only going into the Volcanic Basin to study the basin properly, to understand its geology, and be able to determine whether we have what we call petroleum systems. Now, if we have the petroleum systems, then they can now begin to demarcate the area into blocks, for which the main exploration will start. So from the exploration phase, you may need about some 3 years to do that. And then after that, you may do appraisal, which may take about 5 years. So you are looking at 8 years. And then before you start seeing the oil. So roughly, we are looking at almost 10 years from now, if all things are okay.
Now, from what you are saying, it indicates that we may, or GNPC may or may not find oil. Are we not putting the cart before the horse? I mean, are we not making too much noise about this Voltairean Basin, the prospects of the Voltairean Basin at this time?
Yeah, it is, but it is not really putting the cart before the horse. We're just getting ourselves prepared. We don't want to be caught off guard. So we are doing all these things to get prepared, because if GMPC determines that, we have a petroleum system that can be explored, then definitely the area will be demarcated into blocks, and definitely we will have oil companies coming into the area to explore. But then what policies do we need to have? What measures do we need to have for these companies that will be coming in? We cannot wait for them to come in before we start thinking. So what we are doing now is a thinking process and gathering all the issues that need to be addressed if in case we have something.
All right, so finally, before you go in about 30 seconds or so, how different is onshore exploration how different is it from offshore exploration?
Offshore exploration is far away from the people. It's in the sea. But when you come onshore, you are really with the people. You are with, let me say, the river that people depend on. You are with the farming communities. So it's really close to the people than the offshore. That is the basic difference.
And of course, that may be very expensive than offshore, I guess.
Ironically, doing oil and gas onshore is cheaper than offshore.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Efunam Agbeno. Kojo Efunam Agbeno is the Deputy Head of Petroleum at the Environmental Protection Agency. We're now taking a short break. Marketplace. We'll be right back. You're welcome back. Now, the leadership of the Public Utility Workers Union, PUWU, says it has decided to embark on a 3-hour demonstration in its regional and district offices for 3 days. This, the General Secretary of the union says, will start every morning from Wednesday, 24th August at 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. each day till Friday, the 26th of August. The union is protesting a planned privatization of the Electricity Company of Ghana. Now, speaking at a press conference in Accra, the General Secretary of the PUWU, Michael Adumata Nyantechi, says a disciplined leadership and governance transformation method can turn around the fortunes of the Electricity Company of Ghana and not necessarily privatization. The privatization of the ECG forms part of the conditions that Ghana must meet before it starts accessing the $500 million Millennium Challenge Compact funds from government.
To buttress our resolve and determination to resist this privatization process, the leadership of the workers have decided that there will be a 3-hour demonstration in the regional and district offices of ECG every morning from tomorrow, Wednesday, 24th August, from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. up to Friday, 26th August. The red flags will continue to fly until further notice, and further activities will be carried out at appropriate times as we continue to monitor the developments in connection with this privatization process. In conclusion, we want to state once again that we are not asking GOG to abrogate the MCC Compact, but we are requesting the government of Ghana and the Millennium Challenge Corporation to review the compact. The private sector participation as a condition precedent and a trigger for entry into force of the compact should be modified to include pragmatic steps or measures that can bring efficiency and profitability to ECG using the disciplined leadership and governance transformation method that we have already talked about. We believe that a transformed ECG will be able to generate adequate funds to pay power producers and other suppliers to ensure smooth running of the sector, primarily to benefit Ghana and Ghanaians, and we are optimistic that this approach will bring a win-win situation to both Ghana government and the MCC, since the primary goal of the compact will be attained with the implementation of the alternatives that we have outlined.
And the president of the Association of Ghana Industries, James Asare-Ajayi, has implored government to support the establishment of industrial parks to provide international infrastructure to businesses. Speaking to Joy Business at the launch of the Apollonia Business Park, Mr. J used the opportunity to advise real estate developers to emulate the example of Rendever developers of the Apollonia city in putting up such projects to foster industrial growth in the country.
You see, the Apollonia Business Park, interestingly, is a member of the association, and hence, they are one of our own. We are talking with them, trying to make sure that, when it comes to pricing, it will be very favorable to industries. But we are asking government, to support such initiatives, because you see, when we have organized industrial parks, when we have areas that are set up for businesses, especially the SMEs, to incubate, it will be very helpful to growth of industry, particularly indigenous industries in this country. And hence, we are giving them all the needed support, but then we need government support, we need other stakeholders' involvement and support as well. In fact, these are initiatives that we think that should be emulated, by other developers. Now, we have seen unorganized development across the country, which we think that is not very helpful. So what we are seeing here is a showpiece which AGI believes that will help industries that want to set up, especially in enclaves like this. So AGI supports this effort.
And on that note, we draw the curtains on this afternoon's edition of The Marketplace. Thank you very much for your attention. You can always stay interactive with us by tweeting at Joy Business GH is the handle, and on Facebook, Joy Business is our page. For more business news, you can log on to myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji Viafi. Join me again tomorrow, same time, for another edition. Good afternoon.